After an 11.5 hour ride from Idaho, I've arrived just in time to watch the sunset. So I can see the gnats are starting to come out big time. This is going to be interesting. Well, so I got the reservoir welded up, the master cylinder and power cluster assembly. I have it painted, I have it honed out. I just have to wait to go pick up the parts. So I'll get those parts tomorrow. The interesting thing is the parts that I purchased them separately because I don't need the whole kit. I mean, the whole kit was $497 for each power cluster master cylinder assembly, and I got the O-rings for like $200. The only thing was that the boot that goes inside the air chamber on the power assist or the air assist only came in the kit. Fortunately, the part numbers were on the O-rings and the old boot, and I was able, after extensive search online, to find a cross-reference number. Did a search for the cross-reference number, and they popped up on eBay. So I purchased them. 2 days ago, I went and I checked the tracking status on that, and I didn't realize they're coming from war-torn Israel. So they won't be here until like April 4th. That's 3 weeks, I think. So, oh well, that's the way it goes. But at least they're on their way, and I'll be able to take care of that problem when they arrive. Plus, I still have to work on the radiator flush, so it's not that much of a big deal. And then I gotta go and put my 40 hours in at the plantation, so the timing should be all right. I think. Doesn't matter. It is what it is, and I need the part, so that's the way it's going to be. So right now, before the sun sets, I'm going to take out my new torches that I purchased so I can heat those bolts up. Oh yeah, everything's shuffled. Oh my God, everything's shuffled. Alright. So I bought a set of torches, and I'll use that to heat the bolts. I'll put that reservoir in, and then I'll watch the sunset and then camp out for the evening in the bed with no breakfast. Although I did believe that I mentioned that when I was in Idaho, I had some maintenance to do on the bed, no breakfast. And that turned out to be a fiasco. The brake calipers leaked from the bleeder valves after I installed them. So I put the old bleeder valves from the old caliper in, and that I thought that worked. And when I drove back up to AutoZone to return the calipers for the core, the left one was still leaking. So I told them to get me another caliper. They got me another caliper. The next day, I go to put it in, and it looks like somebody hit that bleeder screw on the inside with a hammer, and the hole was squished. Fortunately, I still kept the old one, put some Teflon tape on it, tightened it up, and it didn't leak. Then I changed the front strainer on the front tank, because the back tank, I know the strainer was broke and it was blocking the fuel every time I went up a hill, and the truck would sputter. So I figured, as a precautionary, I'll do the front one also, because I got a fluctuation in the fuel pressure gauge. So I figured, well, while I got that off, I'll change the O-rings, put them Victron O-rings on there. I looked at a couple Ford treads and they gave a part number. I got them, but the card on the O-rings say 3/8 and 5/16, but they weren't 3/8 and 5/16. Put them in anyway, and they were loose, and they didn't last less than 2 seconds after I started the truck. They started sucking air. So I went to put in a regular nitrile O-ring in there, and I did the back tank first, and I got the front O-ring in, no problem. And it was like 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night. It was cold, and I had the fire going on in the garage, except the fact that I was laying on a piece of cardboard out in the driveway, right? For the life of me, I could not get that back O-ring in the second hole, or the second groove. 9 o'clock, I was shivering, pissed off. I had enough. I couldn't see. I had 3 headlamps. I gave one away. One is at work at the plantation, and the other one I can't find. I gave up, took a hot shower, went to bed, got up in the morning, drove over to buy a gallon of brake fluid and a new headlamp for $50 in Joe Biden's America, right? And proceeded back to replace the O-ring. Well, with the headlamp and the ability to look in there, I noticed that the groove for the back O-ring on one side was kind of missing. And I'm like, how could that be? Then I realized the spacer between the 2 O-rings actually moves. So what happens is, when I put the front O-ring in and I pushed the O-ring in, I wind up pushing that spacer back on one side. So there was no way in hell I was going to get that O-ring in, because there was no groove for it on the one side. After realizing that, I pulled the spacer forward, and the second O-ring dropped right in. Needless to say, I had to drop the front tank again to get to that. I dropped the front tank, and sure enough, those O-rings were disintegrated and pushed into the back of the coupler already. So I put those O-rings in, closed everything up, took a ride. Everything seemed to be fine. I fueled the front tank. Everything worked great. Then I noticed I had some kind of hesitation or sputter when I accelerated and decelerated. So I said, well, let me change the fuel filter too, while I got it out. So I changed the fuel filter, and then I took the cowling off to check the glow plugs, and of course, the one bad glow plug that I thought I did have, and it was the hardest one to get out. It's the one where the 4 lines for the left side merge and then split to go to each injector. So you can't like get on top of it straight with a socket. And so I had to use a universal socket, but then it gets too long as you're backing it up, and then it impinges on the lines, and it was a very frustrating thing to be doing. Anyway, I got that changed out, fine and dandy, and then I said, well, let me check the injectors, because I thought maybe those brand new injectors I had, one was missing. It didn't sound right. So I fired it up, and it ran, and as soon as I broke the injectors loose, the engine started stumbling. So every one of those injectors is working fine. So after all that aggravation, I got everything together, put everything back in the garage, packed up the van, and took an 11.5-hour drive through Elko and the Wild Horse State Park in Nevada. And some still 3 feet of snow still up there. It was pretty, but all right, I got to stop talking. I got to get some work done here. So here we go. That's what I figured. Tight. Okay. So I sprayed all those bolts that I cut the heads off of. So I sprayed them down with penetrant. Now let's see that I spent $500 for a oxyacetylene torch setup. If they come out without the torch setup. Alright, let's see. Put that right there. No. Alright. Well, instead of wasting time, let me go set the torch up and heat them up and get it over with. Not as pretty as the sunset as last time, but still worth taking a second to look at. I should have did that at home, huh? Instead of doing it out here. Dumbass. Oh well. It is what it is. Let's put that right there. Good. I think we're good. I think we're golden here. Let's strike a flame. Okay. Oxygen on the lower, wide open. blasted. Flame's too hot. I gotta go change the tips on that. It's no good. Alright, let's see if that worked on that one. Let's see. No. That's two. One more to go. Ouch! Banged my elbow. Well, that worked out nicely. So now I have to vacuum out the rest of the rust that's on the floor there, and then I'll put the control column in. Sweetness.